Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Know What You're Talking About series. Today we're talking about Topic 4, DQ2. Here's the DQ in LoudCloud, and it says, news reports from the western United States occasionally report incidents of cattle ranchers slaughtering many newborn calves and burying them in mass graves rather than transporting them to markets. Kind of gruesome, isn't it? Assuming that this is rational behavior by profit-maximizing firms, explain what economic factors may influence such behavior. Justify your answer. It's kind of intimidating when you look at it that way. It's like figure out what's going on and then justify it like you would know, right? But let's break it down a little bit first, and let's start by looking at the rubric for this. So you'll find the rubric right here. It's the very first post in DQ2. So we open that up and we find that the rubric says, explain the profit maximization rule discussed in Chapter 13 and discuss how the profit maximization rule might explain this behavior. I guess we got that narrowed down, don't we? So all we got to do is go to the textbook, Chapter 13. So we're over in MindTap now, and we go to Topic 4, and we go to Chapter 13, and then we go to the interactive textbook. And I have opened this textbook already to the section that's going to matter. It's section 13-2B. And it's marginal cost curve and the firm's supply decisions. And there's lots of discussion here, but there are a couple of highlights that I want to bring to your attention. The first of all is, here's a graph that shows all the cost curves. And this week we're doing a ton with graphing, and I know for a lot of people that's very intimidating. So here's what I would suggest that you do when you run across a graph like this in our textbook. It's got 3 buttons over here. The first one shows the graph just the way you see it, but the second one shows the graph step by step. So here's the discussion of step 1, and then they add some stuff. Ooh, let me get here the right place. And they add more, and they add more, and they add more, and they add more. So that's kind of cool. So you can walk through it step by step. And finally, when you get down here, you can draw this graph for yourself. Now, I'm not going to take the time to draw this. I'm just going to draw some lines here so that we can, do something. None of this is correct in any way. But I want to show you what happens then when you're finished. Because you've got this sort of graph, not really a graph at all. But then you say, show the correct graph. And now you can see my mess over here side by side with the correct graph, and then click on the full explanation, and you can see why this graph is the way it is. So make sure that you're getting the most out of reading the graphs as you read the textbook. But the graph by itself really isn't the whole story. What we need here are the profit maximization rule. Your textbook lists it as 3 general rules for profit maximization, but as you read them, you'll see obviously which one I'm referring to as the profit maximization rule. Rule 1 says if marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost, produce more. Rule 2 says if marginal cost is greater than marginal revenue, produce less. And then Rule 3, at the profit maximizing level of output, marginal revenue and marginal cost are exactly equal. So that's what you need to know about the profit maximization rules. But to understand those well, you really need to go back and look at this entire section and probably some of the surrounding sections as well, because the second item in the rubric asks you to apply this profit maximization rule to the situation with the little calves that are being slaughtered. So with that information, I think you're off and running. You'll do a great job, and I look forward to reading your reply. Thanks so much for being here.